All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Empire Secrets. I'm your host, Mariana Henninger, the podcast for established course creators and coaches who want to learn all sorts of ninja digital marketing strategies, things that nobody else is talking about. Obviously, Empire Secrets, as you all know, are my episodes where I bring you behind the scenes, building brand magnetic. Today we have a guest. Today I have Kelsea Koenreich, who I cannot remember how I met you, Kelsea, but things
I
that
feel
I
like
know
we
about.
talked like years ago.
Oh,
Like,
really? Oh my gosh, that long
yeah,
ago? Am I
I feel
am I
like we've
old?
just been chatting in DMs like
Right.
randomly for a couple years.
Things I admire about Kelsea, her arms. All right, we're both wearing tank tops. There's no comparison here, my friends. She posts like her
Stop.
killer workouts and very inspiring. And to me, when I think of an entrepreneur working out, there's so many parallels between taking care of your body and taking care of your business. And the thing that we're going to chat about today that Kelsea is a complete rock star with in her own coaching program that I'll let her tell you about, but it's for mom founders who are definitely more established in their business and how to scale your business without going crazy, how to scale your business without working harder, without hustle culture. So without further ado, this is going to be kind of a shorty, as Kelsea and I were chatting just now. Kelsea, dive right in. What do you mean by that? And how do you help women run away from that packed schedule that we think we need to have in order to build our businesses?
Yeah, I think honestly, there's so much here that we have been shown and that society has told us and that the generations before us have told us about like hard work equals success, right? And I think what I want to really clarify, and like speaking of working out and parallels, is that I really believe that scaling your business should be like interval training.
Okay.
So I actually really believe in effort and hard work, and intentionality is really the word that I use for it, because at the end of the day, what we want is we want to make an impact. We want our businesses to be highly profitable so that we can be very wealthy, because that is our birthright. But it's not about avoidance of hard work. And I think a lot of people like they see they're like craving, like they want it to be easy. And I'm like, entrepreneurship isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but like we also don't evolve from being easy. So to me, it's like that interval training of like, okay, when you look at your schedule, what you're offering, how your team runs, how your business feels, is it sustainable? And like, if you're going to run intervals, you have to have rest periods, right? So whether it's planning launches, like you have to look at the big picture and step back and say, okay, so when I look at this, can I repeat this year over year? So I would say like interval training, trying to use that parallel in your business to make sure that you can sustain, because the goal is longevity. We want to stay in business.
Yes.
And I would say just making sure that like when you are setting things up, that you're focusing on profitability over revenue. Because I think that's a big thing, especially in the online space, is like we see the big shiny numbers.
What's
but you're
behind that
spending it
number?
all.
What's behind? Oh my gosh, that's so true. I was actually in a training by, do you know Stacy Tuschl?
Sounds super familiar.
Tuschl. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, which I was about to do with your last name. So she coaches folks who are, I think everything from like low 6 to multi 7.
Yeah.
She was talking about this exact thing. And the thing that like most struck me about her webinar, which I haven't attended a live webinar in a while, but because I'm building my own, I'm like attending ones that I know are really successful. She actually does one live webinar a week, and she runs traffic to that webinar, like crazy amounts of traffic, crazy amounts of revenue.
Interesting.
And I do, I'm sold. Like I trust that she runs a very profitable business. The point I'm trying to get to is that there were people in the chat in that webinar talking about how they do 1 million in rev a year, 1.1 expenses. So like this idea that your revenue numbers are an indicator, but they really don't mean a profitable business. They don't indicate whether your business is healthy or not, whether you're sleeping at night or not, whether you're taking vacations, whether you're in debt. Okay. I made a huge mistake because I actually wanted to start this episode with your story. Don't usually do that, But you have such an interesting origin story, if you will. Like your background is fascinating. I was reading up on you, obviously, as I was preparing for this episode, things I did not know. I don't know if I would have guessed these things about you. So give us in a nutshell, Kelsea, your before, your turning point, and your after.
Yeah. So my before is I was like your typical party girl, but like to the way extreme. So lots of drugs, lots of sleeping around, lots of alcohol, just doing, I was, really involved in the hospitality industry, which side note, I feel like everybody should work in the hospitality industry. One of
Mm.
my biggest pillars for business is customer service. And I
Ah,
think
so
that
good.
like,
Yeah.
some people have lost the plot when it comes to that. And
Oh my
so I
God.
just think that like prioritizing that is like one of the things that I really attribute my success to. So yeah, I was like in this season of self-destruction for about 10 years, and that led to 3 different arrests. And my last time in jail was my turning point. It was the day that I took accountability. And so another big pillar for me is personal responsibility. And
Mm.
so that for me was a moment where I met my eyes in the mirror, and it was like seeing myself for the first time. And it was like, you put yourself here and you keep coming back here, like you are the common denominator. So
Mm.
that means you have the power to change that. And so that was the day that I took back my power. That was the day that I chose to live, because I would not be here if I had continued down that path.
Wow.
And so from there, it was just like, okay, you have been given a second chance. What do you want to do with it? And
Yeah.
that was where I really threw myself into personal development, into fitness, into like filling all of the things that were hurting, therapy, life coaching. I just like fully immersed myself in good things to
Yeah.
try to figure out why I was doing the things that I was. And I knew that I went through that, and I was like, I cannot hold this. I have to
Yeah.
do something with this. And that's
That's
where
so cool.
everything was born from.
I love it. Love your pillars. They're so strong. They make so much sense. Talk to me in like very practical terms. Let's go back to we want to build a business that's sustainable. I'm hearing you say that word over and over. I love that word as well. What does that look like? We're working in sprints, we're having rests. I mean, sprint is not a word you used. It's a word that kept coming to my mind as you were describing this. Is that what we should be thinking about in terms of our businesses, that we will have these periods where we're like, okay, now we're really doubling down. We have either these goals or these deadlines or these metrics that we want to hit or whatever that looks like. I'm curious how you define those. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're intentionally, also a word that you used, being intentional about taking rest in between, maybe like gauging, maybe measuring and thinking about how we want to do this better or differently in the next round. Take it from here. These are the things that I was noodling on as you were chatting, but give us kind of a very clear sort of practical roadmap for how to do this.
Yeah, so it looks like intentional push periods. And so that's going to
Mhm.
vary based upon the type of business model that you have. And so it's being very intentional about, okay, what is the highest and best goal? And then how are we pushing towards that? So say that's like getting more people on your email list, say that is launching a new product, then
Mhm.
that's going to be a push period. So the only way that we can go through push periods is if we have the energy, the fuel, and the strategy, right? So it's
Yeah.
both energetic and strategy. It has to be both always, right?
Yeah.
And so it is exactly what you said, intentional push periods. The timing of this can vary again, because you have people that will do, I typically say it's nice to have a really big quarterly push towards something and
Mm.
then intentional smaller monthly pushes. And
Okay.
so this puts you in a scenario, because I really like to build proactive businesses because so many people are reactive. And so
Oh,
what this looks
interesting.
like is it means staying ahead, right? So
Mhm.
if we're trying to increase sales, so many business owners are like, oh, sales are dropping. We're going to react to that. We're going to run a sale. We're going to do this. We're going to, and then you're moving from a place of scarcity,
Right.
which that energy is also felt. Whereas if you have a longer term game plan, because again, sustainability, longevity, and delaying instant gratification, for the love of God, if we could
Yes. Such
just
an important pillar. Yes.
like you have to learn, but really just taking and breaking things down and saying, what do I want to sell this year? What are my goals? And actually mapping that out. And
Mhm.
then thinking, okay, in order to be that person that sells that, what am I going to do energetically? Like, how am I filling my cup in
Mm,
between and during, right? So that your entrepreneurial habits play a huge role here outside of your business as well. But tactically, it really does look like laying out a year over year plan that you can run through that is being intentional with, especially like sourcing leads, building
mm,
your email
mhm.
list, and having those pushes towards that so that when you go to sell, you don't feel like you're chasing.
Yes.
And then on the back end of that, making sure you have a really strong follow up process, because something that we are seeing is just people want more personal touch points.
Yep.
People want like more personalization overall. People are tired of like the AI, they're tired of being treated like a number,
Mhm.
especially in the coaching
Yeah.
space.
This is making so much sense and why I was aligned with you from the get-go. There's so many things that are very aligned about what you're saying right now and how I see things and how I talk about things. So, Kelsey, I want people to connect with you. Where should we send them?
Yeah. So the best place is if you want to chat, I'm on Instagram. It's me and my DMs. It's nobody else. So I'm like,
Amen, buddy.
I love just like, honestly, people come to me with questions. I will happily answer. I just believe that I have so much value to give. I'm happy to share. I also have the Mom Founders Table podcast that is specifically for mom business owners. And then on my website. So Instagram, website, those are the best places to
Yeah,
get
we'll
me. And then my
definitely leave those
podcast
links
drops
in
on
the
the
show
too.
notes for sure. Kelsey, enjoy Sarasota. I wish we could chat more. Maybe this is a part one to a part two. But
Yes, yes.
I wanted folks to get to know you a little bit. I wanted to start this conversation about how do we scale our businesses in a way that's not making us hate our businesses, right? In a way that is not only like, how can we add that personalization with at scale? How can we do it without burning out? I'm sure there's so much other goodness that we could dive into. I'm going to leave it here for now, but we'll also leave, as I mentioned, all of your links in the show notes. Thank you so much for popping on today. And I'll see everyone in the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.